Open Brother Project. What up? Open Brother Podcast. It's way too fucking windy outside. I was in Scarborough and I was going to do it there. And I was like, this is crazy because, by the bluffs and stuff, it's nuts. I was walking around in Markham. I was like, this is terrible. I was in Thornhill. I was like, this is terrible. I get around quite a bit. But I wanted to talk about the next episode, today's episode, which is I've been talking to a lot of guys. And the one thing these guys have been always saying to me as I'm talking to them, the one thing I've heard a bunch of different times, said differently, of course, but it's like guys are longing to get back to who they once were. They're longing to get back to the person that they were, or so they think, so they say. And the bad news is that you're never going to get back to the person that you were. Right? Unless you have some kind of time machine that I'm unaware of, that's not happening, But the good news is that you get to be a new version of you. You get to be you 0.0, 0.2, 2.0. There you go. You get to be a new person. You get to be this guy that had the highs and the lows and is working back to the high. And when you get that high, you're going to appreciate it so much more. Sometimes when we're running around on default mode, we kind of take for granted the highs because we're not running on any kind of roadmap. We're just doing things and things are working out and it's feeling good and it's fun. And then when things get low, you also didn't plan for that to happen because you jumped into a relationship or you jumped into a job opportunity that you didn't think would go as negatively as it did. And then from there, that's when you realize that you kind of need a map when you're moving through life. That's what's happened to me quite a bit. I've had things go really well and then they go really shit and then they go really well and then they go really shit. And I kind of think like, I wish I could control this. Like, this shit's just going up and down. And that's when I clicked in, and that's when most guys usually do click in, is that you need a roadmap. Usually when you're at a low, you realize, I need a roadmap. Because it's so dark and so low that you realize, I need a way out of this shit. Right? And then you have to craft a way out. And you have to dig and claw your way out. And then when you get to that high again, you appreciate it way more. But then also you have the mindset of, I dug my way out of here and I brought myself up here, which means that I can keep myself up here. I made decisions to get out. I can make decisions to stay in, to stay up. And obviously things will happen. Parents will go, people will get sick. Things will happen that, have you go up and down. But for the most part, if you make yourself a roadmap of some kind, you're going to be able to stay up, stay high, stay energized. But back to guys wanting to be who they once were, I started to realize as I would dissect these conversations and start talking to guys about who they once were and how badly do they actually want to be that person again, you start to realize it's not the person that you want to be again, right? It's the state that you want again. That's what you really want. You want the state. The state that you were in was the shit. So how do you get to that, back to that state? Well, think back to when you were in that state. What were you doing? What were you doing? Were you following your passions? Were you following a dream? Were you running a business? Were you in a loving relationship that went sour because of X, Y, Z? Like what was going on in your life that had you so energized? For me, when I look back at my brightest times, it's when I was following my passion. When I had purpose. So recently, months ago, I started following my purpose, but not my ultimate purpose, like the things that I've always wanted to do. The things I've always wanted to tackle, from being a coach, from having a men's focused podcast. I've wanted to do this for years. Since I started podcasting, I wanted something that was men focused, right? Clothing company, which I started, and I'm doing the clothing design. I love that. I designed this shirt. I love it. I love it. I started doing all of the things that I've always wanted to do, all of the things that give me passion. Because once I started following my passion, your passion provides. But what does your passion provide? It provides purpose. And purpose is the thing that will put you back in that state. Purpose is the thing that will all of a sudden give you energy. Like I heard years ago, I heard Eric Thomas, Dr. Eric Thomas. He said he wakes up without an alarm clock. And he wakes up at like 4 a.m. I was like, how? Like what? How? I'm like, obviously, like I'm big into habits and neuroscience and stuff. So I'm like, obviously it's just the habits that he's built up. Like that's why he wakes up like that. But it's not. It's because he's fully immersed in his passion. He's fully immersed in his purpose. And he has a roadmap of what he wants to see happen in the next few years. Once you have that, of course you're going to wake up without an alarm clock because you're pumped to go into the next day. How many times we can go back? I mean, I know people are different religions and stuff, but it's like a kid on his birthday and he knows that he's getting some crazy gifts. What happens? The kid wakes up early. Why? Because he's excited for the day in front of him. Kid on Christmas, same thing. Can't sleep. Why? Because he knows the next day is going to be fucking amazing. Right? So it's the state. It's the state. Give yourself something to wake up. Something to wake up for. Give yourself a life that you want to wake up for. So many times when we feel down and we feel out and we feel like we're in ruts, it's because we lost that. You know, we lost that. The times when I was working in a factory, I remember I was working on like an assembly line in Grandin Toy. Grandin Toy doesn't even fucking exist anymore. But I was working in an assembly line of sorts where you had to pack together like a skid, and it was like on a conveyor belt. And you had to like, you know, you were working on skid B, so every package that came up with a B on it was yours, and you had to build it as it came. It was a crazy job. But on those days, it was really hard to wake up. It was really, really tough to wake up. It was really, really hard. It was terribly hard to wake up, right? When I worked at Bad Boy Furniture as a warranty specialist, it was really hard to wake up. It was a pain to wake up because I knew the day ahead of me was a bunch of shit that I didn't want to do. I didn't want my life to be consumed by that. I didn't want to live that type of life. I hated the money I was making. I hated the people that I worked with. I hated the place that I had to go. I hated the bus stop. I hated it all. So of course it's hard to wake up. Now I'm married to my best friend. Gets really easy to wake up. I'm following my passions of coaching and clothing design, personal training. I'm fit. I'm getting fit myself. I'm getting stronger. I'm seeing it every morning when I wake up. I'm pumped to wake up. I wake up at 5 a.m. Easy. No problem. You know, there's things you can do to get back to the state that you were in. You know, but you have to really, it's intentional. That's what I'm trying to say. It's intentional. That type of stuff. It doesn't just happen by chance. You're not just going to wake up and be like, oh man, I'm back. That's never going to happen. Never. If there's a thing that you want to do that you've been putting off, something that you've always wanted to do, start doing it in small increments. You know, for me, it was clothing design. All I did was buy some equipment. That was it. I just bought a heat press, some shirts, some paper to do it on. That was it. And all of a sudden, it just gave me a little push to start waking up. It's like, oh, I have this thing that I can do now. You know, I bought, this gym. Like right now, we're sitting in my gym. I bought some equipment. I don't have to go to somebody else's gym. Gave me a little push. I like coming down in the morning. My assault bike's here. My weights. Gave me a little push, right? Started coaching. Once I started coaching, I've always wanted to coach. I've always wanted to work in some kind of mentor, coach type of position, education type of position. You know? Then all of a sudden, when I started doing these things, it was easier for me to make content. Once it got easier to make content, it was easier to make more. You know? Like this shit snowballs, it compounds. So, if you're not feeling like the person you used to be, you got to look back at what that person used to do and do that as this person today. That's the only way. There's no time machines. It's not happening. You're not going back to the person. You know what I mean? You're not going to all of a sudden become 15 years younger. It's just that person that was 15 years younger was dumb enough to follow their dreams, was dumb enough to just jump into things that they thought were fun. You just got to be that person again. That you just have to take those risks, I should say again. What's fun for you? Get into it. Why not? What's the worst thing that could happen? I wasn't trying to make $1 million company when I started this little clothing business. I only made my first sale today. It's like $40, whatever. It's my first sale. I'm doing it now. Right? Another thing with the state that you want to be in, right? It's finding those things that you used to do. Then taking some of the habits that are built around those things. Or I should say, taking some of the activities that are built around those things and starting to make them habits. Right? Every day I sit down and I try to design something that I could put on a shirt. Every day I wake up and I do some kind of workout because that's what I want to do. Every day I wake up and I read some kind of coaching material or I get into a conversation with somebody where I can kind of do that. Every day. It's your habits. It's just that, like when I said before about default mode, when you're in default mode, you're building habits that could be good and you're doing it without even knowing it, but the same thing could happen bad and you start building bad habits that you don't even know that you're building. And you see what I'm doing here? And as you keep doing that, what happens? Lower and lower and lower. That's your energy level. You didn't even know that you were building that. You came home from work every day and you felt like you deserved to sit on the couch, and then you did it for 2 hours and you got kind of used to it. And now every day you come home and you sit on the couch for 2 hours, and now it's 3 hours, and now it's 4 hours, and that's 4 hours you could have spent doing something that infused you with energy, but instead you just got this habit of sitting on the couch. And now you feel like it's too hard to work out. Now you feel like it's too hard to start that website. Now you feel like there's no time. There's time. There's time, and within the person that you are, there's ability. You just have to go after it. I'll say it again. There's no going back to the person that you once were. That's done. You can't go back in time. But you can look back in time and pull out those same things. Pull them all out. Pull them all out. When I look back at my life, when I was 20, I wanted to design clothing. I always got pushes from people that I should be in public speaking and in coaching and in personal training. I always got that. People would be like, you should be a personal trainer. You should be a coach. And on the inside, I always wanted to do clothing design. Now I'm doing all three. And it feels fucking amazing. So I'm sure you have at least one thing that you've always wanted to do. At least one thing. I remember I was talking to this guy and he's going over his whole life story. One of my buddies, I won't share his name. He's going over his life story. And by the end of it, he keeps going about stuff. And I notice in every chapter of his life, he's always helping people and training people. He's always helping people, training people. No matter where he goes in life, no matter what he's doing. Always helping people, training people. I'm like, at the beginning of your life, this person who you used to be, you're a personal trainer. Everywhere you go, you're trying to help and train people. You're a fucking personal trainer. Go fucking jump on it again. What did you stop for? It's because we get into these little ruts. We get into these little habits. We get into these situations. And then the next thing you know, you feel like that thing that you used to do is just a far off dream, you know? Just a thing that you used to do. Doesn't have to be that way. Sorry about the scenery today. I know I usually walk around. You can usually see stuff, not today. But, you know, I'll end it with this because I think we're done. I'll end it with this. We're in my gym. This is a painting that I made because I always decided I wanted to paint. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know how to direct this properly. Perfect. Boom. It says the difference between who you are and who you want to be and who you want to become is what you do. And that's it. That's it. That's the only difference. So whoever you want to be, whoever you want to become, do what that person you want to become would be doing. If you want to be a millionaire, chances are you shouldn't be sitting on the couch. Not the whole fucking day, at least. You know what I mean? You want to be an astronaut, you probably shouldn't be working in a factory. Probably, yeah. Maybe there's a route from a factory to an astronaut. Probably not, though. So you should probably get on whatever that person that you envision yourself as, start doing that. That was the Open Brother podcast. That's my gym. That's where all the magic happens. And I'm out. I'll see you next week. Peace. Open Brother Project.